Okay, so today we are going to talk about how you should be doing research. You are going to have to pick a topic where you are arguing for your point of view. And so I've picked an example topic that has been really popular over the years with my students just to show you how you might do this. This is one method that you could use to collect your research. So, one topic that's been really popular with my students over the years is up here at the top. This is an incomplete thesis statement. Violent video games should not be banned because. All right, this is popular because so many of you play video games. And there's this big fear with parents and researchers that video games, especially violent ones, can cause you to become violent and aggressive and isolated from friends. And a lot of that fear stemmed from the past where there was this famous school shooting called Columbine in Colorado, long before any of you were born. And the two shooters were teenage boys who played a lot of violent video games. And so people made this connection that they trained shooting people on the video games, and the video games created this fantasy where they wanted to kill people, etc. So we're going to explore that. And a lot of you play video games, so you don't want them to be banned. And so you can't just say, well, I'm not violent. I have not gotten in school fights because of video games. You actually have to prove it with research. All right. So here's my incomplete thesis statement. You're going to want to find at least 3 reasons why violent video games, or just video games in general, should not be banned. Maybe we should make it video games should not be banned because. Either way, you need to find 3 reasons. Now, quickly, let's review something that we talked about earlier, our CRAAP test, right? How do you know whether or not a site is CRAAP? So C stands for currency. Is it recent? Is the website or the article that you're looking at recent? Or is it outdated? Is it relevant? So does it really connect to your topic? Does the source meet the requirements for your assignment, and does it meet your research needs? All right, authority. This is a really important one. Who wrote it? Is it a blog, or is it a well-known publication like the American Psychological Association or CNN or Fox News, or something that most people have heard of and they are reputable because they are known for checking their sources and making sure their information is primarily correct. Okay. Another way to check that is accuracy. Is the information credible? Because you can find it in more than one source, right? Can it be verified by more than one source? Has the source been reviewed by other people, right? Purpose. That's our last one. That's the P in CRAAP. What's the purpose of this website? Is it a website that sells video games and then they're telling you that video games are good for you? If so, that's a conflict of interest and you probably shouldn't use that source for your information. Who's the intended audience? Is there any bias present? And does the author provide other viewpoints? Now, it is okay for there to be a little bias. It is okay to cite a source that is arguing for one position, but they need to provide other viewpoints to prove they truly understand both sides of the issue, right? So it's not necessarily bad that you are using statistics or quotes from a source that's against video games or for video games. You just need to make sure that they're well informed, that the facts they use can be verified, and that they really do provide both sides of the argument. All right, now let me show you this cool document here. You need to collect quotes along the way, right? You're not going to automatically know your main 3 points. The first thing you're going to do is you're just going to start reading. So you're going to go on Google and you're going to do some searches, and you need to start just collecting quotes. You might not use them all, but you can have them here to refer back to once you actually start putting your paper together and creating your essay. So the biggest thing that you want to focus on is supporting evidence, right? You should have more supporting evidence because you are trying to support your position with research. So when you find a quote or statistic, you can copy and paste it in here. But it's also important, because you're going to have to cite all of your sources, to remember your source. So the big thing is, what's the title of the article? Who's the author? And what site did you get it from? And that just means copy and paste the URL, like up here, okay? Now, you also will have to write a counterclaim, meaning you have to present the opposing argument and then refute it or show why you don't think it's valid or why it's not valid enough to disprove your position. So you need to find a couple quotes from people who disagree with you and also write down the source, right? The author, the site, and whatever. Okay, so I am looking for video games. I want to look for reasons why they shouldn't be banned. So let's start with going to Google. Okay, here I am. And I might type something like video games, maybe a question. Do video games, it's doing that there. Video games cause violence. There we go. Okay, now I've got all these websites here. Forbes is a reputable magazine. I could try that. Psychology Today, that's pretty good. CNN, okay. I'm going to start with CNN, USA Today. These are all good. I know CNN, so I'm going to click on them. Okay, now, instead of spending a ton of time reading this, I've already read it. And one thing that I liked about this source is that it starts with one position and ends with the other. So at the top, they start talking about, how there was this gunman in Germany, and he trained on video games, blah, blah, blah. And they talk about how the American Psychological Association says there is a small link between video games and aggressive behavior. So maybe I'll copy and paste something like that as an opposing argument, one that doesn't support my point of view. I'll put it down here. Okay. Now, I'll make this a little smaller. I need to put my source. So I'll copy and paste the link, and I'm going to look at the article title, Do Video Games Lead to Violence by Susan Scooty, right? Do video games lead to violence by Susan Scooty. You're going to have to introduce your quotes. So this will make it a lot easier because in the future, you'll just go back here and you'll say, Susan Scooty of CNN argues that, and then you'll copy and paste your quote, right? Now, I want to see if there's any supporting evidence here. So I keep reading, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Right, the real question, he said, does playing violent video games cause a person to act violently? In his own study, he examined the question using data from the 2008 Delaware School Survey, which included responses from 6,567 eighth graders. Okay, let's skip down here. He discovered that playing video games, no matter how bloody, did not predict violent behavior. Christopher Ferguson, associate professor of and co-chairman of the Department of Psychology at Stetson University, supports this view. In fact, he goes so far as to suggest that violent video games may help reduce societal violence rather than increase it. Okay, so obviously this is a good section. I can't put 3 paragraphs in a row as a quote, but what I could do is I can just copy all of this, right? And then paste a big chunk of it into my supporting evidence. And then later I can go through and narrow it down to a smaller section and decide what I want to do. And I'm just going to format this so it doesn't take up so much space. Now, this is from the same article, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste my source information right here, right? So now I've got a good supporting view. So now maybe I'll go back to a different search. Let's try benefits of video games. Okay, this would support my information. Now, I see here mentalfloss.com, that doesn't sound that reputable to me. Psychologytoday.com, that is a good website, but I look here and I see the word blog. So I want to stay away from that. All right. So sciencealert.com, right. I'm looking down. What is a source I can use? Maybe I need to go to the next page. Okay. APA is a pretty good reputable website. Yeah, American Psychological Association, right? So this says playing video games, including violent shooter games, may boost children's learning, health, and social skills, according to a review of Research and American Psychologists. Now I'm going to go down and read more and find some statistics. Now, blah, blah, blah. I haven't read this carefully, but let's say this is a supporting quote. I'm going to go back at it here, right? Now, I see that there's no author here. So in that case, I'm just going to say American Psychological Association. And then I'm going to put the article title and the website here and do the same thing that I did before, right? Make sure you put the title here, etc. You get the idea. So this is one way that you can start to collect quotes and collect information that you can use to develop your 3 reasons that will support your thesis statement.